Welcome to No Broken Legs. It is week 4 of the NFL season, and joining me to pick all of the games is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you today?
Man, I'm feeling great. Ready to get into these week 4 picks. I think we got another winnable game for our Cleveland Browns. So I'm feeling good, man.
And that's where we will start. Our hometown Cleveland Browns are traveling north to take on the Minnesota Vikings. The Browns are 2-point favorites, and the over-under sits at 51.5. Jimmy, what do you expect from this game? That's a weird line, 2-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm not totally sure about the line. I'm also kind of weary on the over-under, but I'm taking the Browns at -2. I think, the Vikings, we both think they've got the talent to be a playoff team. We've thought that the last 2 years. They've looked really good at times this year, and they've looked really bad. But I do think the Browns are at least a field goal better than the Vikings. I don't think anything that's happened this year has changed that. That's about where I would have had them coming into the season. So nothing's happened to make me changing that feeling. So I feel pretty confident taking the Browns at -2.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Browns. I'm making it a lock. If
Yes.
they come out flat because they've been patting themselves on the back, then that's just not what I expect to happen with Kevin Stefanski in there. I think this is a really interesting game because both offenses are good. Minnesota's defense isn't very good, and we've seen Cleveland's defense be okay to downright excellent. How do you expect the Browns' defense to come back after that pretty stellar performance against Justin Fields and the Bears?
Well, it would sure be helpful if the D-line can get after Cousins the same way they got after Fields, because other than the Chiefs, I mean, this will definitely be the biggest test for the Browns secondary. I believe Newsome has been ruled out, so that hurts.
Yes, he has.
The Vikings have some really excellent route runners and pass catchers. They run a lot of option routes, so you got to stay with your man. But hopefully the D-line gets home this week like they did last week. I mean, the Vikings line is better than the Bears line, but they're not all-world guys. Hopefully the D-line will be playing with some confidence, and they'll be able to force Cousins into making some quick throws and quick reads, because that's normally when you can turn Cousins over and when he can have, we've seen him have horrible halves in football games in that situations when you're able to get a lot of pressure on him. So that's what the defense needs to do. But this is a big test for the secondary. Can they cover? They didn't get tested a lot at all last week. They didn't have to do a lot of work. So they're going to have to be more in the game this week. But it would be nice if the D-line could just dominate like they did last week.
The big thing will be is, does Dalvin Cook play? It looks like he's going to. And if he does play, can the Vikings get him going? Because the Browns have been pretty good against the run this year. That seems to be something that on both sides of the ball they can hang their hat on. That despite all of the problems, they've been pretty good against the run. And on offense, they've just been able to maul people on the ground regardless of what's going on with the offensive line.
Yeah, I don't really think that will change. The Vikings have some really good pieces on defense. They haven't gelled yet, kind of like the Browns, but I still don't think their defense is good enough to stop, maybe slow down the Browns, but I don't think they'll be good enough to stop them. Now, they do like to get aggressive, so the Browns need to catch them in attack mode. Look for some more of the boots, some naked boots, the counters and the draws. This may be another Kareem Hunt game early on to try to get the defense off the line of scrimmage and then have Chubb close it out in the second half.
So I think this Browns offense is really good and kind of underrated after 2 weeks in a row of sort of being underwhelming. But even though they didn't look good the last 2 weeks, Jimmy, they still put up 29 and 26 points. I think this offense can score 30 whenever they need to.
Yeah, I agree. And you know me, if you listen to our fantasy pod at all, you will know I am a big proponent of squeaky wheel games and revenge games. And I do not think Kevin Stefanski is not going to have this team ready to play. I don't think you're going to have to worry about the patting on the back letdown. Kevin Stefanski is going to want to go into Minnesota and beat the brakes off the Vikings. Like, there's a lot of evidence that maybe the Vikings should have moved on from Mike Zimmer a couple years ago, and they weren't willing to do it with Stefanski in the wings. I think Stefanski is going to have this team fully ready, and I agree with you. I think you'll see an offensive explosion early on. I think the scripted plays will look a lot better this week than they did against the Bears. I think the Browns are going to handle their business.
And I heard, to further your point about being ready to go on the road and play in Minnesota, where it's going to be a ruckus environment, Jimmy. But
Absolutely.
I heard Mary Kay on 92.3 this morning said that you can hear music just blasting from Berea when they do their 1 o'clock afternoon practices, because that's how they're preparing themselves, is with the speakers, which I think is a vastly superior way to prepare for this than didn't teams used to do, like whisper drills or something. And those, every time you heard that, it's like, oh man, those guys are screwed.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, Kevin is going to have them ready. He's going to know what they're going in for. He's going to have them ready. I'm hoping Baker looks a little more sharp in the first 15. You know, he did sail some balls at the start of the game last week. But sometimes I think like that environment, I mean, that seems to be what Baker feeds off of, right? Like he seems to need to think everybody in the stadium hates his guts for him to play well. I don't get it, but that seems to be how he works with that chip on his shoulder. So, but I think you'll see, while last week I was very happy when Baker chose to not throw some deep balls to Odell and take checkdowns. I think early in this game, I think you'll see some naked boots with Odell running deep crosses and Baker just letting it fly.
Yeah, and I think they'll need to open it up a little more. The last 2 weeks, they kind of got ahead, and you could tell that they just took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, you won't have that opportunity with Minnesota because they're going to keep coming and trying to score points.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is playing pretty well. He's been throwing for good yardage. They got 2 good receivers. As long as everybody's healthy for them, which everybody is expected to play, but they are bringing some injuries of their own in. Jimmy, is it too early to start panicking about the offensive line?
I don't know if panic is the right word, because to me, panic is the 5 guys
where we were 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, like to me, panic is the 5 guys we expected to play offensive line for us all year are all struggling, and we might need a whole new unit. I am worried about the health of the offensive line. He did not look good playing hobbled last week, but the protection seemed to hold up better when he came out and they went to the second string. I honestly didn't notice if it was Hubbard or not that played for him. I'm not sure who came in and played for him.
No, it was the other.
Was it the other guy?
I think it was the other guy. But I think they're just the thing about that is I think they just need to give Wills a couple of weeks off.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I mean, I think it was obvious he was struggling in pass and block protection, pass and run protection. So you might just have to sit him for a game or two and let him get healthy. I mean, it's a 17-game season. There's going to be a couple losses. You haven't lost a game yet that you weren't probably expecting to lose. And you should be able to beat Minnesota with Wills resting if it gets him ready for the next few games. But, yeah, I'm not hitting a panic button, but I am worried about the overall health of the offensive line.
Yeah, I'm concerned there because if the line doesn't hold up or if they get another injury there, then we could really start looking at bad things happening, and that's not where we want this team to be.
Not at all.
Our game tonight features the division-leading Cincinnati Bengals, Jimmy, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bengals have surprised people, and they're probably going to be 3-1 because Jacksonville stinks. The Bengals are 7.5-point favorites. The over/under sits at 46. Does Jacksonville have any chance in this game?
I don't think so. This is just short of a lock for me. I think Cincy can win this game by 2 scores. I think the under is a great play here. I don't think this will be a high-scoring game. Cincy's defense is pretty good. Their offense is moving the ball. I think Jacksonville put up a heck of a lot of fight last week to give a game away with a horrific pick six. I think that probably took some wind out of their sails to make them realize they have to play an absolutely perfect game, plus have the other team do something seriously stupid for them to even be in the game at halftime and into the third quarter. So I think Cincy handles this game pretty easy, and kudos to them for hopefully moving to 3-1.
Yeah, I'm picking the Bengals too. I'm just picking against Jacksonville every week. They're terrible.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Another phrase I wasn't expecting to say this year: division leading Denver Broncos are hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Jimmy, this is another weird line. The Denver Broncos are 1-point favorites. The over-under sits at 45.5. Baltimore got a surprising and bullshit win. They didn't get called for the delay of game that should have knocked them back. Tucker still hit that amazing field goal. They sneaked through to 2-1. Denver's they're getting a little bit of credit, but they're not getting the full 3 that a home team would normally get. Who do you like in this game?
All right. So I know the Broncos are 3-0, and I know the combined records of the teams they've beat are 0-9. And I'm pretty sure the Ravens are going to win, but I'm taking the Broncos and Teddy Bridgewater at -1. I like this Broncos team. I like their running back committee. They got an old guy and a young guy. They're mixing them in well. Even with some injuries, I like their receiving core. Teddy Bridgewater is doing a great job with the ball. I don't know if you know this. Hollywood Brown has now been downgraded to like Glendale Brown after all those drops last week. So I imagine the Ravens are going to try to run the ball a lot with Lamar, and I think that feeds into what the Broncos do well. They can keep attacking and just try to steal the edge. I think if the Broncos win this game, the AFC West probably gets moved to equal footing with the NFC West as the best division in football, because even though Marquise Brown dropped some passes last week, I still don't like the way the Baltimore offense looks. They're dealing with all kinds of little nagging injuries and this and that. And I don't like the way Baltimore is constructed and looks right now. So I'm going to take Denver.
I'm going to take Baltimore because I refuse to believe that Denver is going to be 4-0.
That's probably a pretty good bet.
That's the only reason I'm betting, or not betting. I'm not actually betting this game. I think this is kind of a stay away because I don't really know what to expect of either of these teams. You mentioned it earlier. Denver hasn't beaten anybody that's any good. I don't know how good Baltimore is. I know Lamar Jackson can run the ball. I just don't know what else that offense can do, or at least what they can do consistently.
Yeah, I mean, we know Mark Andrews running slants across the middle is something they like, but I feel like Denver's got the linebackers and the safeties to kind of minimize that. But I agree with you. This is a huge test for both of these teams. Like, Baltimore needs to have their offense look good against a good defense, and Denver gets to find out who they are, if they're for real or not.
Our next game features a team that looks like they might be cooked, Jimmy. The Pittsburgh Steelers are traveling to Green Bay. The Packers are 6.5-point favorites. The over-under is 45.5. For the past week, everybody's been asking, what do the Steelers do with Ben Roethlisberger? He looked really bad last week. They're not going to pull him. He's going to play in this game. How does Roethlisberger come up big here? Does he look better?
Please, Mike Tomlin, keep putting Ben Roethlisberger out there so he can fall down and throw interceptions. Please, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's weird to see the Bengals and the Browns kind of ascending, Baltimore not being sure what they are, and Pittsburgh heading back to one of those rare times in their franchise where they don't look good, don't have a plan, a la Bubby Brister, Cordell Stewart, times like that. They look bad on both sides of the ball with just a few injuries. Like, you take one or two key pieces out of their defense, and they got no pressure. They did nothing to stop the Bengals from what the Bengals wanted to do. Their offensive line is young and do not look good. The only way they can get Najee Harris the ball is throwing it to him in space. But I believe at one point they had like a 3rd and 14 and threw a screen to Najee Harris behind the line of scrimmage. Like,
yeah, it was really weird.
Defenses are going to take that all day, and much to the love of cheeseheads everywhere, it looks like Aaron Rodgers is engaged. They played a hell of a game against San Francisco. I don't think they're in a letdown spot here. They're a lock for me at -6.5. I'll probably even tease this one, probably to like -12, and then find another game I'm close with, because I think Green Bay is going to beat the brakes off of Pittsburgh.
I'm looking at other games I'm going to tease this with for money line parlays. I really like Green Bay here. I mean, Pittsburgh just got their asses kicked by Cincinnati. We think Green Bay's better than Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's weird to me this line is only 6.5. Like, I don't really get it.
I didn't make it a lock because the 6.5 kind of scares me. This is we always get this moment where we think that the Steelers are dead, and Roethlisberger will come out and throw for like 340 and 2 or 3 touchdowns and keep it close. I don't know. I do like the Packers here, though, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think those days are. I don't think we got to worry about those days anymore. And I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand what you could watch in the film room for the Steelers on Monday and Tuesday and go, yeah, we need to keep putting Ben out there. Maybe you're not worried about winning football games. Like Mike Tomlin did a press conference, and it was actually one of the cooler press conferences I've seen. The guys on First Things First talked about it. Like, he actually defined what panic button meant to him and that he wasn't pushing it yet. And I think that's a bold miscalculation on his side. I think he needs to put the panic button. He needs to put Rudolph or Haskins in there and see what he's got, because Ben cannot throw the football downfield. He continues to check out of the plays that his offensive coordinator is calling because he knows he can't do what the offensive coordinator wants him to do. And it's just, they're a mess, and I am here for it, baby.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing to look at this week. If they just keep doing the same thing they've been doing, then it's over. Like, it's officially over. That's who they are. If they can make some adjustments, they're going to make them for this game.
Yep.
Well, a quarterback who can throw the ball downfield is Josh Allen, Jimmy. He's lit it up the last 2 weeks after a rough start to the season. Buffalo is hosting the Houston Texans. They are 16-point favorites. The over-under on this is 47. I'm picking Buffalo and making it a lock. They love running the score up on bad teams, and Houston's a bad team, Jimmy.
Well, we're going to continue to disagree on how bad of a team Houston is. I'm taking Houston at plus 16. They're going to keep fighting. They'll backdoor this to 2 touchdowns. I just think it's too many points. I agree with you that Buffalo will try to run the score up, but I think Houston, in like 3 weeks from now, they'll lose games by more than 16 points. But right now, they're still playing with pride, playing strong. I think they'll hold this to 2 touchdowns.
All right, we'll see what happens there. I don't think we need to say anything more about that game. Very interesting game is the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. They are 7-point road favorites. The over-under on this is 45.5. And this is a game I'll be watching very, very closely because I don't think Philadelphia is that good. And if Kansas City struggles this week against Philadelphia, Jimmy, we're going to have to reassess what we think of that team.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think they will. The line's still 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you said it. I didn't.
Yeah, that's
pick
fine.
It up. Yeah, I'll take KC. I'll take KC at -7. They'll get right here. I think you were right. I think we may have overinflated Jalen Hurts in this offense a little bit. They looked really bad in that game against Dallas. They played zone against Dallas, against an explosive offense. They never went to man. They never went to press.
That's because I don't think they can.
Kansas City has the exact same pieces that Dallas has, plus a Travis Kelce to even dominate more in the middle of the field. I think this is the get-right game from KC. I think they'll be explosive. But I do agree with you. If they struggle with Philly, then they've got to reevaluate. They're going to have to figure out something to do with the running game. Like, they've just been too one-dimensional, but CEH just doesn't look right.
Well, they got 17 for 100 out of Edwards-Helaire last week against the Chargers.
They did, but it doesn't seem like they can get running yards when they need to. I don't think they're committed to giving him the ball. They'd rather have Mahomes just throw it 55 times. I don't know. I mean,
if your strategy is to have Patrick Mahomes throw the football, it's probably a good strategy. He's one of the few people that probably can throw the ball 50 times a game and not worry about it too much.
I don't know, man. He threw some ugly balls there against the Chargers, but I don't think the Eagles have anywhere near the defense that the Chargers do. But I do agree with you. If this is a struggle win for Kansas City, like if they only win this game by like 10 points, then it's probably time to panic about KC.
Yeah, and they might not have – their offensive line might not be quite as good as we thought it was.
Yeah.
The Browns didn't really attack them, and now, just seeing how the Browns played against Chicago, it's like, man, if they would have just attacked a little bit more against Kansas City, could they have forced the issue more there?
Yep, I agree.
The next game is the undefeated Las Vegas Raiders are going on the road to play the LA Chargers, who just beat the Chiefs. The Chargers are 3-point favorites here, Jimmy. I haven't had a feel for either one of these teams. I picked Vegas last week because I was sick of picking against them and losing. I'm just going to pick them here because I'm going to take the points. This is just really a prove-it game for both teams.
I think the Chargers proved some stuff last week, but Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley, I hope this message gets to you from the No Broken Legs podcast. I implore you, I beg of you, win this game to prove that the Raiders aren't actually any good, because the Raiders can't actually be any good. I can't handle it. Derek Carr's throwing balls downfield that are being caught. I don't like it. Henry Ruggs is looking good. I don't like it. But I still don't think they've really played an offense who could really challenge their defense. So this is a big prove-it game for both of these teams. You are right. And, this is going to – it's only week 4 or 17, but this could be a big game and playoff implications down the road. So, but I am taking the Chargers at -3.5 because I refuse to take the Raiders. I refuse. I won't do it. I won't do it. You can't make me. But this is a big spot for the Raiders defense. If the Raiders defense can slow down this Chargers passing attack, then everyone's going to have to start taking the Raiders seriously, even me.
Well, if the Raiders win this game, there's going to be a lot of 4-0 Gruden talk after they're done talking about our next game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are traveling to New England. You may have heard that this will be the first time Tom Brady's back in New England since leaving. The Buccaneers are 7-point favorites. The over-under is 49. Jimmy, I'm making this a lock because I don't think there's any way Tampa Bay doesn't just roll New England in this game.
Yeah, this game just needs to get over with. It sucks that the Patriots don't have a better roster to where any of the narratives actually matter. Like, Tom Brady can play like crap and the Buccaneers are going to win this game. New England does not look good offensively. I thought Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry were going to be very, very good in the offense, and that hasn't looked right. Jonnu's getting targets, but he's not getting yards and catches. I don't like New England's roster composition. Their defense is still good, but it's not good enough to make up for what they have on offense. And they're not going to be able to attack what Tampa Bay does bad, which is cover the pass down the field. So, yeah, this is a lock for me as well. Tampa, easy one here.
Yeah, New England opened up the offense for Mac Jones, and it wasn't pretty, Jimmy.
No, it was not. You were right.
They're not going to be able to run that short passing game where they're keeping everything in front of, they're keeping everything within 5 to 10 yards. Tampa's just going to attack that, and it's not going to work. And we thought that New England defense was going to be better with all their players back, and they're okay, but they certainly don't look like what we expect a Bill Belichick defense to look like.
I agree. I completely agree.
Well, the team Tampa Bay lost to last week, the LA Rams, are quietly closing in on the Chiefs as Vegas favorites for the Super Bowl. They are at home this week against division foe Arizona. They are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 55. Jimmy, are the Rams the best team in the NFL right now?
Yes. I am very happy that I got my NFC champion and NFL bets in on the Rams when I did, because the odds are going down. I was stunned when I looked at this game at how much action there is on the Cardinals. I think that's stupid. I mean, they were in a dogfight with the Jaguars until Trevor Lawrence threw one of the worst pick sixes I've ever seen a quarterback throw. I don't know how the Rams don't win this game by at least a touchdown. This is a lock for me. I don't, like I said, I don't understand it. I don't think McVay is going to let off the gas. I don't think he's going to give this team a chance to have a letdown game after last week. I think he's the guy that's going to say more. Something we talked about early on when we did our Rams preview that I thought was a big deal. You didn't. Deshaun Jackson looks like he could be something special, taking the top off.
I said it's only a big deal for the 5 games that he'll play.
I guess you're right. Well, it was a big deal against Tampa Bay. So I guess we were both right. No, I love this Rams offense. We already saw, against Jacksonville, the Kyler Murray run around and make stuff happen didn't look great at times, and that seems to be the offense. And then Cliff Kingsbury with just a horrific decision to try a stupid ass field goal, almost put him in a dogfight with a horrible team. So this is a lock for me. Let's go Rams.
I'm taking the Rams. I still don't trust Arizona.
Nope.
But they can win me over. They play really well in this game. They'll win me over. I'll be ready to move them up into that playoff category.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, staying in the NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers are hosting the Seattle Seahawks. The Niners are 3-point favorites, Jimmy. I know you hate that. The over-under sits at 52. I like the Niners here, Jimmy, because the Niners are boring, but they seem to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, I don't know what I like about either of these teams. I don't know what I dislike about either of these teams. I'm also going to take San Francisco. I don't like it.
Oh, that's got to hurt you a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, man, it hurts me a lot. Seattle finally got rid of their very poor offensive coordinator whose last name shall not be mentioned on this podcast because I don't want to make you twitch and stuff. So I won't say his name. But this new offensive coordinator was supposed to find a balance for the offense that leans a little heavily more towards Russ, and that doesn't seem to be working in the second half of football games. They've yet to score a point in the third quarter. You can't be a competitive team and not score points in the third quarter. But I think this is a huge game for both teams. If Seattle loses this game, I'm not sure they have a chance at making the playoffs. I think there's just too many good teams in the NFC. So Seattle needs this game, but I am going to take San Francisco.
Yeah, and one of those surprise teams is the Carolina Panthers, who are 3-0, Jimmy. They are traveling to Dallas. Jerry World is hosting the Panthers. The Cowboys are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 50.5. I'm taking Carolina because I don't trust Dallas, but I don't really trust Carolina either.
Well, I think it's fair to not trust Carolina's offense because Sam Darnold. The Panthers defense took a hit losing J.C. Horn, but the Panthers defense is for real. They should have been another year away, but it looks like it's coming together faster for them. Their defense is for real. And much like the opposite of Kevin Stefanski and Sean McVay, I know Mike McCarthy coach teams have letdowns after big primetime wins. Dallas is going to have a letdown in this game, so I'll take Carolina at plus 4.5. Give me the money line at 175. That feels like easy money. Carolina is going to win this game outright.
I don't trust the Carolina defense quite as much as you do, but this is a prove-it game for them, for me. I'll really feel like I have an idea of how good they can be or how good they actually are based on how they play against Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know. The last report I saw was that McCaffrey was day-to-day. I don't know if he's playing in this one or not, so that'll take a hit to their offense if he doesn't play.
Yeah. I don't know if it matters. They're moving the ball really well.
Yeah.
Kudos to Sam Darnold. We liked him coming out of college, and then you thought he would resurrect his career here, and he's doing pretty well so far.
Well, he's like I said, his coaches, kudos to them. They've got enough pieces that they can make it real easy for him. It's 2 reads and get rid of the ball, and he's doing a good job of it. So kudos to him.
A game with quarterback implications that confound me, Jimmy. The Miami Dolphins are hosting the Indianapolis Colts. This is another weird spread. The Dolphins are 2-point home favorites. The over-under sits at 42.5. Carson Wentz is playing on messed up ankles, and Jacoby Brissett didn't look good at all. What the hell, Jimmy?
Well, yeah, Jacoby struggled at times. He looked okay at times, but he did struggle at times. I'm taking the Dolphins. Both these teams stink, but I do think the Dolphins' defense is better than the Colts' offensive line. I think they'll be able to attack, and Carson Wentz is going to continue to just check balls down, get them out of his hand quick because he doesn't want to take any more hits to those legs. So, but I think the Dolphins will win this game at home. It's weird to me they didn't get the whole 3 points, but I like it because I feel like they're a field goal better than the Colts.
Yeah, I'll take the Dolphins, but I think this is kind of a stay away game.
Yeah. Oh, please don't anybody bet money on this game at all because nobody knows what's going to happen in this game. So stay away from this one.
Our next matchup is the Tennessee Titans. They're traveling to New York to take on the Jets. Titans are 7-point favorites. The over-under sits at 44. I'm taking Tennessee in this game, Jimmy. I think they just ride Derrick Henry to victory.
Yeah, I do not understand why this is only 7. Like I don't get it. Like I firmly believed until last week the Atlanta Falcons were the worst team in the NFL and the Giants found a way to lose to them.
Yeah, that was
And
just a disgusting. It
and
was
the
just bad. It was a bad
and
example
the
of football.
Jets might still be worse than the Giants. Like I don't know why this line is 7, but it's a lock for me for the Titans. This may be a game where you could also tease this up because if you could get this to like 9.5, because I think the Titans at least win this by a touchdown and a field goal, you could do that as well.
Speaking of the other team in New York, the Giants, they are traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints are 7.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 42. I'm making the Saints a lock. That New Orleans defense is pretty good, and the Giants stink.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking good. I'll take the Saints as well. I still think they're very limited with Jameis Winston at quarterback. They're still doing the Taysom Hill experiment, which I hate, but they'll win this game easily to move to 3-1. So kudos to them. Maybe I wrote Sean Payton off a year early.
Yeah, every time they win, it makes us look bad, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, me too, but I don't think there's any way they can lose this game.
No. The line that confused me the most, Jimmy, is the Chicago Bears are hosting the Detroit Lions, and the Bears are 3-point favorites, meaning they think these teams are equal on a neutral field. I actually don't agree with that. I'm taking the Lions. I'm making it a lock. I think Chicago's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I do too. I still haven't seen Nagy still has been non-committal about who the quarterback was. Early in the week, we heard Nick Foles may even have a chance to start.
I don't think it matters.
I don't either. They looked bad. Matt Nagy, I like it when the Browns coach gets to out-coach somebody, and boy, did he out-coach Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy looked like he had no idea what to do with Justin Fields at quarterback, and that defense kind of, I don't want to say gave up, but they definitely wore down in the second half of that game, but they were on the field a long time. I'm taking Detroit and the money line. I love this money line bet. I think between this and the Panthers money line bets, you can make some pretty easy money this week. I don't know. I mean, Detroit, as long as Jared Goff doesn't throw like 2 pick sixes, I don't see how Detroit doesn't win this football game, to be honest with you. The Bears they look completely out of sorts, and a loss to Detroit should go ahead and get Matt Nagy out of there. So if you can still find odds on the first coach fired, you're going to want to get the Matt Nagy odds now before they lose to Detroit.
I listened to some Chicago local radio, which is something I like to do just to get a feel for what is the climate like in a fan base and in general around a team. The Bears sound like all of those Cleveland teams we had where we knew the coach was going to be fired by the end of the season. And everybody's just kind of already kind of mentally checking out. And they're trying to develop a guy while they're trying to win now, so there's no real direction for the team moving forward, when the direction of the team should be they should be looking to not really bottom out, but they should be looking to trade their veterans and get draft picks and build around Justin Fields. And, when they get rid of Matt Nagy is when they get rid of Matt Nagy at this point.
Yeah, I loved kudos to the Bears fans out there that came up with the conspiracy that Matt Nagy purposefully put Justin Fields in that situation so he could then go back to the front office and say, see, I told you Andy Dalton was the guy that needed to start. So kudos to that. That's some Cleveland Browns fan shit. I love it.
Oh, yeah. That's the type of stuff I love to hear when I see other teams.
Yeah,
because we saw it here long enough. And it's not the stuff that when teams have that going around them, those are not teams that are in a good place.
No, it's not. But I agree with you. I mean, Detroit keeps fighting and battling, and I think they'll be able to get this win here.
All right, our last game of the week is the Washington Armada are traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Washington are 1.5-point favorites on the road. The over-under is 47.5. Jimmy, these teams stink. I don't know what to do with either of them. I'm taking Atlanta in the points just because I thought Atlanta might be good, and they could be 2-2 after this week. And if they are, I'm probably going to rub it in your face.
Yeah, you should, because they won't be. But you.
I don't feel good about it, but who knows?
But it's funny because I'm taking Washington for those exact reasons you're taking Atlanta. I thought this team was going to win the NFC East. That's clearly not going to happen. They're underperforming all over the field. They need to give Antonio Gibson more touches. Just throw balls downfield to Terry McLaurin, Mr. Heineke. Just throw it to him. He'll catch it. But I agree with you. Both of these teams are wildly underperforming. I am going to take the Armada. I'm not confident about it. But this is definitely panic button shit for whichever one of these teams loses this game.
Yeah, and just as a note, I thought Atlanta would be the team to surprise in the NFC South. That team has turned out to be Carolina, and that team's actually pretty good. And in the NFC East, I didn't trust Washington, I didn't trust Dallas, I didn't trust Philadelphia, and I said, well, maybe the Giants will be good. And it turns out that everyone in that division is bad.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we may still be undervaluing Dallas. Dallas might be pretty good. They're always going to be limited by Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, that's a hard ceiling on that team because of him.
I mean, he's lucky they blew Philly out as bad as they did, because his clock management at the end of the first half is Mike McCarthy, that's like Mike McCarthy Hall of Fame stuff. Like, when it's actually so bad, the ref comes over to you like, dude, why aren't you using your timeouts? Like, call your timeouts.
You want to call timeout, coach? No? Oh, okay.
Like, I was flipping over. At that point, I was flipping over to the Manning feed, and Peyton was literally getting sick on camera. Like, what's he doing? Call your timeouts, coach. Like, it was great. I loved it. Like, Mike McCarthy just does not understand analytics, does not understand time management. No points is enough points in the NFL. Like, going into half where you are is never enough. If you have a chance to get more points, go get more points. Like, he's never understood that. He never will.
Don't
so they're all
kick field goals. Go for it on fourth down and try to score touchdowns.
Yeah. Like, he's always going to be limited, but Dallas may end up being the best team in that division. But I'm still hoping Washington's, at least their defense gets going. But I don't know. Yeah, the NFC East and the AFC South are clearly the two worst divisions in football.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Any final thoughts on Week 4 of the NFL, Jimmy?
No, like we talked about, I'm just excited to see Kevin Stefanski go into Minnesota and get this win. Like I said, Mary Kay's on it with the reporting that, Stefanski knows how loud that place is going to be. He knows that Zimmer is not going to want him to come in there and get a big win, but I don't think Zimmer can stop him from doing it. I really don't. I think they'll be ready to go. Like I said, I think the scripted plays this week will be more crisp. I think Baker will hopefully get the ball down a little bit because he was overthrowing early last week. But I do think you'll see some deep shots to Odell. You might see some trickeration early on. Maybe a double reverse to Schwartz, something like that. But I think they're going to come out and they're going to try to punch Minnesota in the mouth to get them off the line of scrimmage. And then, like you said, are we going to be able to slow down Dalvin Cook? Because you got to be able to either slow down Dalvin Cook or take away Thielen and Jefferson. I'm not sure we can take away Thielen and Jefferson. I don't know if our secondary is ready for that. So we'll see. But it's going to be a great game. But I do think the Browns will come out on top. And I think them and the Bengals are going to be tied for first in the AFC North.
Yeah, just looking at the whole week, the games I'm really interested to see how they play out. Baltimore, Denver, Vegas, Chargers, and Carolina, Dallas. Those are 3 games that'll tell me a lot about Vegas, Carolina, and Denver, 3 undefeated teams that I don't really understand how they're undefeated. But,
yeah.
Well, I guess in Denver's case, they haven't played anybody, but they're not the teams that you would have expected to be 3-0. And can they get to 4-0 and beat a real opponent this week?
Yeah, I'm going to throw 2 games onto that to focus on. I think the Seattle-San Francisco game.
Oh, yes, very good point.
I think that one is really going to be, that's going to be a big game. It's probably bigger for Seattle than San Francisco, but it's a big game for both teams. And then I'm going to be watching the Steelers game kind of like I used to watch Undertaker matches, where I was absolutely sure he wasn't getting up. Like, is Paul Bearer going to be able to bring him up with the urn? I don't think they're getting up this time. I think a loss to the Bengals and then a primetime loss to the Packers is going to bury Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh man, I'd love to celebrate another Steelers loss after a Browns win. That'd be fantastic.
It's going to be sweet, brother.
All right, Jimmy, thank you for joining me on this Thursday afternoon.
No place I'd rather be. We'll talk to you later.
All righty, and thank you for listening. For Jimmy Champ, I'm Evan Belfiore, and we are No Broken Legs.
Every action has a repercussion. Lyrical bullets don't make me get the